Penn Station is the busiest transit hub in the Western Hemisphere. It's also one of the most crowded, chaotic, and unloved. Hidden beneath Madison Square Garden, it's a space that millions pass through, but few admire. Once, Penn Station was a soaring architectural landmark, until it was torn down to make way for the arena above. Now, for the first time in decades, that decision is back on the table. Madison Square Garden, one of the most iconic and beloved sports venues in the world, was recently granted only a 5-year extension on its operating permit. City officials, developers, and transit agencies are seizing the moment, pushing for long overdue change to the space below. Relocating the garden is just one of several proposals, and while still unlikely, it would rank among the most ambitious urban undertakings in American history. Today we explore the drama, ambition, and engineering challenges behind two of New York's most iconic landmarks, and the bold ideas that could redefine them both. At the dawn of the 20th century, New York City was rapidly transforming. In 1901, the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad proposed a bold plan: build a direct rail link into Manhattan and eliminate the need for ferries across the Hudson. The $150 million project, or around $5.6 billion today, aimed to symbolize American ambition. Construction began in 1904, with engineers tunneling beneath the Hudson and East Rivers to connect New Jersey, Long Island, and Manhattan. By 1910, the original Penn Station opened, featuring Doric columns, vaulted glass ceilings, and a 150-foot high waiting room. But after World War II, rail travel declined sharply, with annual losses exceeding $2 million. The PRR sold the station's air rights in the early 1960s in exchange for a smaller underground terminal and a 25% stake in the new Madison Square Garden complex above. Demolition of the station began in 1963, triggering widespread outrage. Vincent Scully famously lamented, "One entered the city like a god, one scuttles in now like a rat." Completed in 1968, Madison Square Garden instantly became an iconic venue for sports. It's been one of the most notable examples of how to successfully implement a sports venue within a downtown area, one that many other cities have tried to copy, but its location has long posed challenges. The arena's massive structural supports limit vertical circulation within the station below, making Penn Station feel dark, cramped, and disjointed. Despite serving over 500,000 passengers daily, the station remains a symbol of missed opportunity, trapped beneath a legacy of mid-century urban compromise. But in recent years, as ridership increases, considerably more pressure is being applied to do something to address the growing issue. One early idea was championed by Senator Moynihan, who mourned the loss of the original station. His dream was to repurpose the adjacent James A. Farley Post Office building into a new train hall that could restore some of the lost majesty. This vision materialized as the Moynihan Train Hall, which opened in January of 2021. The $1.6 billion project added 255,000 square feet of transit space, vastly improving the passenger experience for Amtrak and LIRR users. But this train hall addresses only one small part of the challenge. A more transformative set of ideas focuses on resolving the deep-seated conflict between MSG and Penn Station by rethinking the structure of the urban site entirely. The Grand Penn Community Alliance has been extremely vocal in advocating a radical approach, relocating MSG itself. They propose moving the arena, potentially to the site of the former Hotel Pennsylvania, located several blocks away on 7th Avenue, all to free up the valuable air rights above Penn Station. This move would allow designers to create a new, expansive, and classically inspired train hall reminiscent of the original Penn Station. The envisioned hall would bring in the natural light of its predecessor, featuring integrated public spaces, green areas, and mixed-use developments that together could revitalize the transit experience. This, as you can imagine, would be an absolutely massive undertaking, and more on the impacts of this in a minute. Other proposals by groups such as Rethink NYC and plans from architectural firms like Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro, SHOP Architects, and ASTM North America offer different visions. Some plans advocate for a complete overhaul of the entire Empire State Complex, integrating new commercial towers, retail, and residential units with an upgraded transit hub. Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro, for example, have suggested mixed-use developments that include amenities like spas, theaters, and cascading parks, combined with state-of-the-art technological features to enhance passenger experience. A contrasting viewpoint argues that substantial improvements can be made without disturbing MSG's current location. Proponents of incremental upgrades call for widening platforms platforms, tripling the number of escalators, and reconfiguring concourse layouts to improve circulation and relieve overcrowding. Recent modernization efforts, such as the $414 million upgrade of the LIRR concourse and additional retail and wayfinding improvements, have shown that even within the limitations of the current layout, practical and immediate enhancements are achievable. Governor Kathy Hochul's administration has floated a $7 billion commuter-first redesign of Penn Station. In parallel, ASTM North America has proposed a $6 billion plan that retains MSG in its same location, but calls for extensive re-engineering of its facade, including recladding the arena and constructing a new 8th Avenue entrance by demolishing the Hulu Theater. And we've talked about quite a few proposals being actively thrown around. So what are the impact of all these, and what's going to happen next? First off, let's talk about the positive. Transforming Penn Station would have profound effects on transit efficiency and passenger safety. Currently serving over 600,000 passengers daily, and as I mentioned in the intro, it's the busiest transit hub in the Western Hemisphere. A redeveloped station that reintroduces natural light and spacious, well-designed concourses could dramatically reduce bottlenecks and streamline passenger flows. The redevelopment could also serve as a catalyst for broader urban revitalization in Midtown Manhattan. Economically, a modernized, efficient Penn Station would likely lead to increased ridership and improved fare revenues. And culturally, reimagining Penn Station has the potential to restore a lost sense of civic pride and architectural dignity in New York City. The demolition of the original Penn Station was a seminal moment in urban history, a turning point that not only transformed the city's transit network, but also ignited the modern historic preservation movement. Despite the optimistic scenarios and significant potential impacts, the path forward is full of challenges. First, financing any of these projects is a daunting hurdle, as estimates for these ideas range from $6 to $7.5 billion. Relocating MSG, for example, would require navigating a highly complex web of public-private partnerships involving city, state, and federal agencies, the arena's ownership group, and private real estate developers, all of whom bring conflicting interests and priorities to the table. Although MSG is the oldest arena in the NBA, it remains one of the most iconic and functional venues in professional sports. Widely regarded as the mecca of basketball, it was recently ranked #1 in the league for fan experience and underwent a $1 billion renovation completed in 2013, modernizing nearly every aspect of the facility. The current ownership has little incentive to voluntarily vacate the site. For them to even consider relocation, it would likely require an offer involving multiple $billion in public subsidy, an enormous financial commitment that would almost certainly spark widespread public backlash. Critics would question the justification of using taxpayer money to facilitate a move benefiting a private entity, particularly when people believe other civic priorities remain underfunded. While relocating MSG is not impossible and has been floated as part of broader plans to improve Penn Station, the political, financial, and logistical hurdles make such a scenario unlikely, at least in the near term. From an engineering standpoint, the challenge of rebuilding or relocating MSG is enormous. If the venue were to be moved, a massive foundation would be required, one that must account for the proximity of several underground tunnels serving Penn Station. Also, other planned upgrades at Penn Station present further complexities. For instance, the Gateway program aims to construct 2 new Hudson River tunnels, each approximately 23 feet in diameter, with an overall estimated cost between $30 and $40 billion. These tunnels are designed to double the current train throughput and seamlessly integrate with the existing underground network of 21 tracks and 7 tunnels. Political and stakeholder negotiations add another layer of complexity. Preservationists, urban planners, and transit advocates call for a return to the spacious, dignified transit experience embodied by the original Penn Station. This tug of war between preserving historical legacy and pursuing much-needed modernization underscores the multifaceted nature of the debate. So why do many people believe this change is finally imminent? Back in 2013, Manhattan's Community Board voted 36-0 against giving MSG a permanent operating permit, recommending a 10-year limit to allow for future Penn Station redevelopment. The City Council's Land Use Committee backed the move, setting a deadline that would eventually require MSG to relocate or reapply. Then in September 2023, 10 years later, the council doubled down, voting 48-0 to extend the permit for just 5 years, the shortest ever. This decision underscores a growing sense of urgency among city leaders to reimagine the future of Penn Station, and signals that change, while gradual, may finally be on the horizon. At Buildcore, we're building America, one story at a time. We cover some of the most impressive and headline-grabbing projects across this great country. And with your help, the channel has grown to around 40,000 subscribers and reached millions and millions of people. With that being said, thank you, and I'll see you next time.